I was going to tell a story with Chris, but I think you'd all be afraid of it, so well, I'll hold that for some other time. Thinking about good intentions, you know, I was thinking through my family first, and my dad came right up there. My dad's, you know, has 5 kids. My mom passed away when I was about 20, and a couple years later, we were seeing all these advertisements for PWP this and PWP that. And I didn't know quite what it meant, but apparently it means parents without partners. And we encouraged my dad to go out to a dance to meet somebody. And he was always saying, I can't, because my younger brothers and sisters, you know, no one would be there to watch them. Well, you know, they were 14 and 16 at the time. They could have stayed home alone, but eventually, Dad did go out on the town. He went to a dance at the Springfield Country Club, and it was a Parents Without Partners dance. And he went to it. I actually came from school, took the bus home to watch my 14 and 16-year-old brother and sister. But and he said it was fun. That's all I got. My dad doesn't give a lot. He's, you know, big Irish guy. You know, he doesn't really elaborate too much usually. So that's what he said. It was fun. So I come to find out a couple weeks later, he didn't actually go into the dance. He sat in the parking lot and watched people go in to see if it's something that he may want to do. So he sat in the parking lot at the time we had a brown 71 Dodge window van. It didn't have smoked, you know, mirrors or anything hanging from the, well, maybe it did have a few things hanging from the rearview mirror, but that we put there. But so he didn't go in. So we did this again, and my dad actually went, and he went in that night. And there were a few ladies at the front counter taking, I guess you pay some kind of entry to go in, and there was a door prize. So my dad was there, and he had a great time talking to a couple of the ladies there, as well as one of the ladies at the front door. Well, comes to find out, my dad actually wins the door prize that night. So he was all thrilled, and the lady at the door, the fix probably was in, because that lady eventually became my second mother. She hated the word stepmother, so to honor her, I won't say that word. So eventually she became my second mother. But before that happened, they went out on a few dates. And one of their second or third dates was my dad taking her out on the town for dinner and dancing to a place called Mr. T's in Concordville. And apparently they had an oldies night where a DJ named High Lit. I've heard of him, but I don't exactly, I don't remember too much about him, but I remember my dad going to see things with High Lit, and my mom. So my second mother, Ann, when she was still single, went with my dad to this event. So they went out, you know, my dad's thinking big date, put on his, you know, we bought him some cool clothes, like purple shirt, and pink shirt. So, and the ladies liked them. So he was all excited, like, yeah, I'm gonna wear purple. The ladies are giving him some attention for it. So he was wearing his suit, and they were out on a date. And my dad is 6'3", and Ann about a foot shorter. So when they're dancing, you know, my dad has long arms, and he's a good dancer. He's always been a great dancer, spinning, throwing you. That's the way he rolls on a dance floor. Well, it was really crowded that night at Mr. T's, and everyone's, you know, grooving to the oldies. And my dad's spinning Ann after dinner, and they're having a great time. And he spins her, and he turns around, and she's gone. He can't find her. He does a spin, she's gone. So he's like, where did she go? She's nowhere to be found. So he starts walking around looking for her. She slid. When he threw her, she slid across the dance floor. And she just went through people and underneath people that no one else, I guess, really saw what happened. So he found her and, you know, picked her up and took her back to the table. And of course, you know, why the management of the former Mr. T's was giving them plenty of free scotch and rocks after that happened. And they were given all kinds of drinks. Hope you're having a great time. Even High Lit came over to the table to greet them and, you know, and give them, you know, whatever High Lit would give them, an autograph or a special song, I don't know. But so my dad was, you know, this was like early on in the relationship. So my dad's like, oh my gosh, I injured, you know, a woman that I'm starting to care about. So my dad, you know, then, well, we call it playing Trivial Pursuit in the family. He stayed overnight, and because that's what he'd say. Well, we played a long game of Trivial Pursuit to college kids the next morning. But anyhow, so Dad was playing Trivial Pursuit that night, and Anne woke up, and the scotch and the rocks had worn off, and she was clearly in need of some medical attention with her wrist. So my dad, continuing their date, took her to the hospital, where at the hospital she shattered her wrist, needed pins, and all kinds of, you know, continued things going on. So her dancing career was over for a period of time. So my dad, you know, and he eventually married her, and 25 plus years of love, but just a couple years ago when we were talking about that incident, I asked him, I said, Dad, how did that happen? And he was telling us the story, but he feels to this day that it was his fault. And the reason why he feels she fell wasn't the wet dance floor, wasn't the groovy music. It was the fact that he had ribs that night and he didn't clean his fingers off. So when he spun her, he felt his fingers were a little slippery, and that's how she was lost. And he felt, to this day, he still feels guilty about that. But it got us a great second mother.